welcome everyone to the HealthyU podcast. I am your host, Dawn Funk, coming to you down here in sunny Florida. It's actually really nice and sunny today, and I'm just really grateful and honored that you're choosing to spend a little bit of time out of your extremely busy life to just fill yourself with wisdom and hear some amazing perspectives from the different guests that we have on each week to help you live a healthier life. And that is my heart, is that we will equip you with knowledge and wisdom and perspectives so that you can take ownership of your health. And so today we've got a really awesome special guest. Her name is Mikki Gaffen Stone, and I've enjoyed just getting to know her just in the last 10 to 15 minutes. And she is joining us from the great state of Colorado, and just has an amazing background. And I hope you guys have some type of journal so that you can take some notes as you're listening today. If you're driving, you may even want to pull over and just find a spot to take some great notes. Or of course, you can always listen to this 2 times, right? And get some great advice that way. But today's title is Behavior Changes That Are in Your Control so that you can live the life that you want. And before we dive in, I just want to give a little bit of background information about our extraordinary guest today. So Mikki is a PN level 2 nutrition coach, and she is board certified as a behavior, and I can't ever say this word, analyst. There we go. A former English professor. Here we go. Behavior analyst specializing in behavior change. And get this, she has worked with children with autism and their families and has used that same science to help coach individuals who want to change their habits for the better and have better health and increased energy. So before we dive into the questions, I always love to give our speakers just a couple minutes to just share more about you, because there's some cool things about you, Mikki. And I want our viewers and listeners to be able to connect with you and before we start diving into our questions today.
Okay, cool. Brief overview. I am obviously not from Colorado. I was born in the UK and raised in Australia. This is the 8th country I've lived in. My husband and I have 5 kids between us. We have 5 dogs. We have 5 cats. 5 is a number for us, apparently. He's a science fiction author, and I do coaching. I love to coach people into a place where they have control of what they are doing. So you don't need a coach forever. You just, need a little change in direction, maybe. Nutrition is one of those wonderfully controversial topics that somebody's going to agree, somebody's going to disagree, and that's okay. What I would love for today is, if you hear what I have to say, think about it and then see if it works for you. And if you like it, great, you got something.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and again, I just think this is going to be a powerful episode because, again, we're exposed to so much information and content. And, ultimately, though, it's up to us to kind of decipher through all of that. But I know the things that you're going to share today are going to get people really thinking and, just really adding value to them. So, and I have to say, I love Australia. I love your accent. So I actually got to travel. I went to Hamilton Island and then went over to Sydney. So I got to see kind of both parts of Australia, and absolutely beautiful. So just amazing. So I'm just curious, because you've been to so many countries. So of all the places that you've lived or traveled to internationally, what is your favorite one of all of them?
Wow. Okay, that's a multi-part answer, but I'll be as quick as I can.
Yes.
Singapore was incredible to live in. It's the easiest place I think I've ever lived because it's very safe. Everything is available. I love the heat. They have heat all year. Love Singapore. To travel to, though, Ladakh, which is high up in the Himalayas, and it is a beautiful, very stark landscape. But if you're into hiking and altitude, Ladakh is amazing.
Wow, I've never heard of Ladakh. So that's a cool little fun fact today. And, and I've been blessed too to do some traveling in my last 10, 15 years. And so one of the greatest places I've been is Antarctica. So it was an amazing trip. And, just to go out, we had scientists on board our ship. And so twice a day we would go out in the tenders and just to get to experience like penguins and icebergs and all of that up close was absolutely amazing. So very, very cool.
Like
Yes.
it.
Well, awesome. All right. Well, let's get into the episode and really get inside of Mikki's mind today. So the first question that I'd love to ask you is just how do you even start behavior change? Like, how does a person do that? What does that look like?
The very first step is actually going to take you the longest time, and it's the most important piece. And that is, what do you really want? And why do you want it? Because people often think they want to lose weight, but actually what they want is to be able to chase after their kids, or they want to feel better about themselves. So it's not the losing weight is not usually what you want. It's what you think you want, what people tell you you need, but what are you really aiming for? Because if actually you're looking to move better and chase after your kids, to use that first example, then put weight loss aside and focus on healthier eating and movement that's fun, so that you can build towards the activity level, the flexibility, the stamina, those things. Weight loss will happen as a side effect. But if you're focusing on the wrong thing, you're not going to get there. So that's the very first step, is be really clear about what you want and why.
Yeah, that's so good. One of my favorite books is called Start with Why. And again, just you have to have that mental conversation with yourself. And I remember years ago, there was someone that I was helping on their wellness journey, and kind of same thing, like digging and asking, like, why do you want to lose weight? Because I think when you really internalize that and just really reflect on that daily, your reason, your why, and your what. And for this person, it was they wanted to be able to ride the rides at the amusement park with their kids, and they couldn't do it because they were too overweight. And so, to watch their transformation over time, and to get that picture of them riding, I think it was like the Beast or something at an amusement park. But just what an amazing thing. Yeah, to be a better parent. So I love that. Like, start with why and what you really want. So that's good. All right. So what are some things that people can do to, what are some things that they can change in order to be healthier? So what would be some advice you would give about that?
It's going to be a little bit different for everybody, because much depends on where you live and whether you can afford things like organic food, fresh vegetables, and so on. Because obviously that's going to be a place where, if you can do that, that would be fantastic. A rule of thumb is, if you're buying a processed product, and olive oil is processed, but if you're buying something that's processed, 4 ingredients or less is very helpful, because that's getting you closer to whole food. So much depends on where that person is at. But something that I really like people to do is journal. And the journaling is not what I ate today and how many M&Ms I had, but it's, how did you talk to yourself before you started eating that food? What was the conversation? Are you looking for a cookie because you're bored? Did somebody upset you? Are you thirsty instead? So one habit that you can get into right away is, every time you go to eat something, have a glass of water first. And I actually mean water. Have a glass of water first, wait 10 minutes. If you're still hungry, go head on and eat. And for the initial phase, eat what you want to eat. If it's chocolate chip cookies, go for it, totally. But write down what you're telling yourself before you eat, what the experience of eating it is like did it taste as good as you thought it would? And then how do you feel afterwards? Because the self-talk of, oh, well, never mind, I had a drink earlier on that I shouldn't have had, so it doesn't matter, I'll just eat everything. That kind of conversation has an impact. So you need to write that down. And afterwards, if you're beating yourself up because, I shouldn't have had that, again, that has an impact. And you can start to see a trend that you're taken care of. It's not a question of, did I eat a chocolate chip cookie? It's more, why? And did it do it for you? You know, was it the most amazing chocolate chip cookie? If it was, okay, cool. Good. That's not your problem. Let's look for something else. Maybe it was the fact that you ate a packet of them.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a different conversation. Why did you eat a packet of them? Again, we're looking at the why so that we know what to change. There's a lot of digging in the first place.
Yeah, well, I love that. And, you know, and I'll right there, that's a huge just piece of information that I've learned from you just in the first 10 minutes, because, you know, I have encouraged people to have food journals and to, you know, write down what they're eating and record that. Now, I've also encouraged them to have some affirmations. I do believe in the power of waking up and kind of speaking, you know, just powerful, positive things over yourself. But I think that's so interesting what you said about, instead of focusing on the foods in the journal, it's the conversations in your head. And that's huge, because that, I mean, I even, you know, I've seen that in people that I've worked with. I've seen that with my own children. Like when you said they're bored, I can't tell you how many times I've had that conversation with one of my kids. Like, you're just going into the pantry because you're bored. It's not even that you're hungry. So, and I love that tip too about have a glass of water first and then wait 10 minutes. I think that's super powerful.
Well, the thing is, we as a society, we're not used to drinking enough. We really don't drink enough, and we don't drink the right stuff. You know, when you're shoving soft drinks down yourself, it affects the body differently to drinking water. And so we mistake thirst for hunger. The worst case scenario is you had a glass of water and yes, actually you're hungry, but that's still really, really good for you. It's helping you to flush everything through your system. So, and it keeps your skin clearer too. So, you know, bonus.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think too, to your point, like, I feel like we live in this society, at least over here in the United States, where we are just like conditioned to eat all the time. Like, if you look around, there's fast food restaurants everywhere. Like, anywhere you go, they're selling snacks. I mean, it's just like we live in this society where like we should be hungry all the time. We should be eating all the time. And unfortunately, obesity is on the rise, and, you know, unhealthy people are on the rise. And, you know, such a great point. And I love too about, you know, the organic. I definitely try to eat as organic as possible, and just looking around in your area to see if there's farmers markets. That's something else huge that we've been doing around here. And then also just growing your own. You know, if you live in a place where you can grow your own stuff, especially right now with grocery prices, I am just like, man, I'm starting to grow my own bean. I grow broccoli sprouts for my salad. I grow cilantro and just certain herbs. And you can do that indoors even. So
yeah, even if you're in an apartment, you can grow some herbs at least. And if you Google those, you'll see that there's all kinds of benefits to that. One little sidetrack I like to get onto when I'm able to is when you're in the grocery store, if you're looking in a section that says food, it's because it isn't. You don't call a carrot food. You call a carrot a carrot. You call stuff in a box, a can, or a packet food. And it generally isn't what the body recognizes as food. Now, I studied functional nutrition. And one of the things I discovered in my studies was that the liver is trying to metabolize the food that you put in. And when you buy something that has a long shelf life, what has happened is the natural vitamins and minerals have been taken out to present the long shelf life, right? They will send the food off if you leave those in place. So chemical facsimiles of vitamins and minerals are put in. So it's enriched. It really isn't. That's a terrible word, actually. It's not enriched at all. But what happens in your body is the liver says, I don't know what this is. And it tries to metabolize it, but it can't do the job very well. So what happens is it's impacting your liver. That's not a good thing. You only have one and you need it. But the other thing is the body says, hey, I don't have the nutrients I need. I'm still hungry. Eat more. And so you release the neurochemicals that tell you you're hungry. So this is why we have people eating way more calories than they need, because the calories don't pack the nutrition. The body can't use it. So the body says, eat more. It's not that you're being greedy. It's not that you're lacking in control. The food companies would love you to think that, but it's actually what the food companies are doing to you. They're giving you stuff that's edible in that it won't kill you right away, but it's not food. So the closer to whole food you can get, the less hungry you're going to be. Partly because there's fiber involved and all of those good things. Yes, that's what you usually hear. But it's also because the body says, hey, I know what to do with this. I can use this. And you don't need to keep on eating and eating because you've got what you need.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference that you don't tend to get told very often. So it's a bit of a soapbox for me.
No, me too. Well, and I'm leading a book club right now. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Mercola. I love his stuff, and he's a huge, just very bold voice also out there about just how we are being conditioned, to think that what is in our grocery stores are food, when, to your point, it's not. It's a bunch of processed crap that,
Right.
I mean, that's why, just diabetes, insulin resistance. I mean, there's so many health problems that are, again, on the rise, because so many people are eating so poorly. In fact, I was reading a book that talked about how, like, when we grew up, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was like my, us growing up, or, maybe our grandparents, but like what's in the grocery stores today is nothing that was in the grocery stores back when our parents and
No.
grandparents. And, and then I was also blown away at the thousands of new foods that really aren't foods that are introduced every single year into the grocery stores, all different types of, cakes and foods labeled as healthy foods, whatever. But, very few things are introduced that are actually whole foods. So again, they're conditioning us, they're brainwashing us into thinking that these are foods. And to your point, like, look at the label, 4
Oh, yeah.
ingredients or less. That was
And
huge.
look
Yeah.
very carefully if it says healthy
Yep.
or good for you, or
Mhm.
anything approximating that, because you can
Yep.
pretty much guarantee it is not.
Yep.
And if it's low fat, the sugar is higher.
Yep. Yep.
So this is, now here's the thing with fat being a problem in the diet. It isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And healthy fats are actually what you need. Otherwise, there's certain vitamins that you can't absorb. A,
Mm-hmm.
D, E, and K, you need all of those, but you can't absorb them if you don't have the fat.
Yep.
But the thing is, when they did that very minimal research back in, when was it, 70s, 80s?
Yeah.
Sugar was actually seen to be a problem, but there's a very strong sugar industry. There's a very strong lobby for sugar industry.
Yep.
There isn't one for fat. So it's pretty easy to shift the finger pointing over to fat and saying, hey, it's that, don't do that.
Yeah.
But actually, if you look at the chronic medical conditions, they're all based in what's called metaflammation, which is inflammation throughout the body. Internally, it's not what you can see. And this leads to things like diabetes, stroke, all the conditions that we're warned about.
Yep.
Diabetes type 3, which is Alzheimer's. All of these are problems with sugar and insulin. They're not fat.
Right.
Fat is not a problem.
Yeah.
So again, you buy healthy products, diet products, and look at the labels. Oh, they are selling you a chemical mess of stuff that probably has high sugar, or worse still, high fructose corn syrup. That's a whole other podcast on its own. But just be assured that if you see any of those things, and there are at least 65 names for sugar, so they can hide it really well.
Oh, I know. Well,
and the thing is, it's deceptive, right? If sugar's not a problem, why do they need 65 names for it?
Exactly. Well, again, they know what they're doing. And, and that's the thing. It's like you said, this inflammation is inside the body, just causing all kinds of health issues. It can lead to autoimmune, and 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 I haven't even shared this with you, but I've been on my own personal health journey. I got very, very sick several years ago because I made a dumb decision to get breast implants, and it was putting these toxins in my body. It wasn't the implants that were necessarily making me sick. It was the fact that they were artificial and they were foreign objects in my body. And then, there's a whole genetic part of this as well. But my body just doesn't detox like a lot of some, maybe a typical person's could. And I had all these old cavitations. I mean, I was a mess. But But the other thing that led to this like tipping was I was using products that were loaded with artificial ingredients,
Right.
sucralose and, a lot of these things that are in our foods today that are artificial, and our, like you said, our bodies just were not designed to filter out all of these artificial ingredients. And there are health issues that can result from that. So,
Absolutely. I
yeah,
mean, if you look at dairy, okay,
yeah,
that's one that, well, dairy's good for you. Actually, no, it isn't.
yep, right.
And I can give you a couple of really good reasons why it's not good for you. One is dairy, think milk at the moment, it's acidic.
Yeah.
So when you consume dairy, your body has to try and balance the acid so that your blood pH stays where it should be. That means it needs to draw out some alkali. Long story short, it takes using your bones as a bank. Because you're drinking dairy, it will actually extract calcium from the bones to buffer the acid that you're putting in. Now, normally in the workings of the body, that's fine because you'll have something later and it deposits it back. But if you drink a lot of dairy, you're actually leaching dairy out of your bones. And if you think of the osteoporosis rates, the US is extremely high for osteoporosis, and we drink a ton of milk. If you look at the figures for China, where they do not drink milk, osteoporosis is very, very low. I don't think it's a coincidence. So
No.
that's a big thing. Then when you're looking at weight maintenance, health maintenance, milk produced by a cow is meant to make its baby grow 1,000 pounds in a year. So what do you think it's doing when you're consuming it? You're consuming something that is formulated by nature to put on 1,000 pounds in a year.
Wow.
So if they take the fat out, you've still got a product that is not meant for you.
Wow.
It's not designed for the human body to deal with. So it's actually a miracle that we're all still going, because they're doing so much terrible stuff to us with the food industry.
Wow.
And calling it good, but it really isn't. And the thing with the pharmaceutical industry now is they maintain us in our ill health.
Yes. Yep.
We're not being cured.
No. No.
Things aren't going away, but they're keeping us so that we can keep going with these terrible food products.
Yep.
And then at the same time, the diet industry then kicks in and says, well, it's your self-control. It's your motivation. You're not motivated enough. You're not trying hard enough. So it puts the blame back on the person. Where actually, you walk into the grocery store like you are going to come out of there very carefully with a winning basket, because it's designed to trip you up. And the brighter the sales, the less it is food. They don't flash all the carrots and broccoli. I'm going to be like, whoa, look at this, this is amazing. But the latest, pick up a box of breakfast cereal. Obviously I'm not going to name any, but pick one up and look at the ingredients. Do you really want to feed that to your brain? No. Do you expect your kids to focus in school on that? They don't have ADHD, they have a sugar hit.
Exactly.
So, and I've worked with kids with ADHD. I know what it looks like. And I also can see kids when they're just not given a shot. We make them sit still, which they're not designed to do. Kids have to move and explore their environment. We feed them sugar and tell them to sit still. No, that's not going to work.
It makes no sense at all. Well, and it's like we are looked at as customers. I'm always amazed, at least in the pharmaceutical industry's eyes, it's how many medications can we get you on? I mean, I'm baffled at how many people are on medications today. And then the fact that doctors are not even trained in nutrition at all.
They are not. No.
And I'm so excited because you're amazing. And I'm so grateful to have you dropping all these truth bombs. But next month, I'm actually going to have an MD who is in the military, who is an MD, but thinks like us and, can speak to the fact that he has had like literally no training in nutrition. And so he's out there really promoting, again, what our cause is, to help people take ownership and to bring these truths to the light. So, just like what you talked about with dairy, like I knew that dairy was bad, but when you talked about the fact that that it's produced for a cow to grow up to be, what did you say, 1,000 pounds or whatever? Like I'd never heard that before. And I'm like, that's so true when you think about the logic behind that. So I don't drink milk. I haven't drank milk in probably 20 years. I'm just curious what your opinion is. I drink a lot of coconut milk, unsweetened coconut milk, or we drink almond milk. And that's only if I'm making like a smoothie or something. But so what do you incorporate products like that into your diet? Do you recommend those? Or so what would you recommend as an alternative? And that might lead into our next question. So,
Okay.
what are some nutrition hacks that you offer?
Well, first of all, this is a bit of an investment, but if you can manage it, there are almond milk makers on the market.
Mhm.
We have one. I'll use the brand name if I'm allowed to. It's
Yeah.
not, I'm not getting
Right.
commission
Yeah.
or
No.
anything, but
Yeah.
we use almond cow.
Okay.
And it is so fast, so easy. And we use almond, put a little bit of coconut in for flavor, maybe some organic vanilla. You don't need sugar. It's actually quite
Right.
sweet. Beautifully fresh. They send you glass bottles with
Oh, wow.
cork and silicone tops that you can keep in the fridge.
Yeah.
And it's actually, once you've bought the machine and you've got going with it,
Okay.
and it's about the size of a coffee maker. So,
Okay.
it's not going to take up tons of room,
Right.
but you can make your own milk from, do you want
Wow.
oats? Or I
Yeah.
don't recommend oats, honestly, but if you want them,
I
you can have
don't.
them.
Yeah.
Or coconut or cashew. There are issues with cashew, but that's another subject for,
Yeah.
molds and what have you. But you can make your own milk as and when you want it. And
Mm.
you know exactly what's in that.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing else is happening. And
Yeah.
I buy organic almonds for that. It's actually cost effective once you've absorbed the initial hit of buying the thing.
Okay.
So yes, I do that. Absolutely. I don't drink dairy. I don't promote it. I don't recommend it at all. There was an advertising blast in the UK anyway, in the 40s, no, 50s. And the Dairy Marketing Board basically had this slogan of milk, good for you. Now, if you say that sentence, good for you, or good for you, like, how are you saying that sentence? They
Mhm.
weren't doing anything. They were just throwing it out there. And
Mhm.
then they started to provide it to schools for free.
Mhm.
And so the kids who were generally having a hard time with nutrition because the war hadn't been done that long, food was still building up in its supplies. So there's free milk. And then everybody gets this idea that, oh, milk's great for you. We've been
Mhm.
sold a bill of goods and they're still selling it.
Yeah.
But it's not true.
Yeah.
This is a straight up marketing ploy.
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't need it. So the alternatives, absolutely. Yes. I don't recommend soy. That's very, very problematic. And
Right.
for women, especially if you're postmenopausal and you're taking soy products,
Yeah.
that can actually, I can't say it causes breast cancer. All I can say is check out the figures.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not something I would do.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Soy
I
is
totally.
problematic.
Yeah. Well, I completely agree. And I think too, like, hopefully you guys are kind of hearing some common themes here, like what's being promoted, have an opposite day in your brain and go, okay, it must be the opposite of that, of what the government and the people in charge are promoting. So I love that. Awesome. Well, so what are some other health hacks? So I love that you talked about this almond cow machine. That's a great health hack. What are some other health hacks that you would recommend to people listening?
So the almond cow is amazing. Things like sprouting,
Yes.
sprouting your own alfalfa sprouts.
Yeah.
Chickpeas can be really nice sprouted. You can get fenugreek and then get like a curry kind of flavor. That's actually a small thing, doesn't cost much, but packs vitamins. You can mix it in with your salads. So that's good.
Yeah.
Buy organic wherever possible. And that truly does make a difference because we have a lot of pesticides that are in the soils. And again, the body tries to metabolize that and it doesn't do well. In fact, the Roundup stuff, can't think of the chemical name right now, but Roundup actually turns into a carcinogen in the body when the body tries to metabolize it. And there's plenty of research on this. You can find it on googlescholar.com. Like it's out there. There are articles. And it's been known for years. That's why it was banned in the first place for farms. So still can't think of the chemical name, but anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah, no.
So avoiding those, basically shop the outside of the store where the whole foods are, buy organic, meats and chicken and so on wherever possible, because frankly, the conditions of the factory stuff is so bad. You are buying very stressed out meat that's full of hormones you don't want. You know, just think through that process a little bit for yourself. It's not cool. So it's better to eat less meat and eat the really good quality stuff. Plus, you know, you're voting with your dollars. The food industry is simply interested in where the money goes. So what you buy is where they'll follow. And the more people look for organic food, the more likely it is to be available. Now, I appreciate some people are in a food desert, and frankly, I'm appalled that that's still a thing. But you can look online and see if there are some organic companies that will deliver to you. We have one that delivers fresh fruit and vegetables to us. Can I name that one as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, because
That's Misfits Market.
Yeah, I have friends. Yep.
It's in a lot of states. It's not in all of them, but it's in many of them. And we're very happy with their produce.
Yeah.
So you can do that even if they don't have it in the local store. That's an alternative as well. A rule of thumb, in addition to the 4 ingredients or less, is if you can't pronounce it, you might not want to eat it.
Amen. Yeah.
And I find that's very helpful too.
Yeah.
And certainly if you see something that has, you know, if you're buying a package something and the shelf life gives you a year that you're not currently in, you might not want to buy it.
Yeah. So Twinkies are out.
Oh, I love picking those things up actually.
Oh
just to look at the date. It's like, wow, there's 3 years on this thing.
Yeah.
What have they put in it?
Oh my gosh.
And if you read the ingredients, there's not one thing on there that's recognizable as a foodstuff.
I know.
So what are you consuming when you eat that?
Yeah.
You know, just because it doesn't kill you right away doesn't mean it's not going to kill you in the end.
Yeah. Well, then I think about my son. He's in the Army and they feed him a bunch of those MREs all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, like those things are good for like forever. So, oh goodness. But so go back. You said something earlier that's got my brain going too, when you talked about olive oil. So, you know, I'm a big, you know, believer in consuming the healthier omega-3s and, you know, minimizing the omega-6 oils. And I know a lot of restaurants sneak in the bad oils, and even a lot of healthy salad dressings, right? Sneak in those bad oils. So like if I don't make my own homemade salad dressing, I only buy Primal Kitchen. That's just the brand that I like and trust. But so you mentioned olive oil, and I do use olive oil when I'm cooking. Okay. And I use avocado oil because it does have a higher smoke point, but so I thought you had said something about avocado or about olive oil that maybe wasn't necessarily a good thing, but maybe I misunderstood you.
No, I just pointed out that olive oil is a processed food.
Okay.
So, and the reason I use that as an example is because olive oil is great. It's not a problem.
Okay, good.
I was like, processed food that I'm talking about is the highly processed stuff with the flavor enhancers. You know, if you think of Cheetos, for example, if you put a Cheeto in, first of all, what color is that?
Oh, I know.
Where in nature does this exist?
Exactly. I know.
But if you pop one of those into your mouth, you have an immediate flavor explosion. It's like, what? It's huge. And it's all the flavors, right? It's massive. And then it shrinks down to next to nothing. So you have this big flavor hit full of flavor enhancers, and then it disappears to next to nothing. How many of those are you going to eat in one sitting, particularly if you're watching television or something?
Yeah.
You're going to go through this massive bag. So you had how many calories for what? And there is no nutritional value in that thing. You're not eating it for nutrition, are you?
Yeah.
If you're honest with yourself, there is nothing nutritional about that food. No. You didn't intend, you know, oh, I'm going to feel better after I eat this. It's just, oh, this is tasty and I'm going to watch a movie now. And so you shovel this stuff in and then you're still hungry because these flavor enhancers are driving your taste buds nuts. You've got very little substance in your body from this big packet that shrinks down. You know, if you poured water in it just to see what it was going to do, it'd be nothing left.
It's so crazy.
And we spend good money on it that you could actually be buying baby carrots and hummus, for example, instead. And, you know, and eat that. That would cost you about the same as a big bag of Cheetos. But it's not as, you know, hey, the flavor doesn't pop. It's not as easy. It's not what we're sold.
Right.
Nobody's advertising that on TV for you.
Right.
Right.
Well, they're advertising a bunch of pharmaceutical commercials is what they're advertising, which
Right.
that's
Sure.
mind
Eat what
blowing.
you want to eat and then take
Exactly.
this pill, you'll be
Exactly.
fine.
Yeah. Which I was blown away to find out that the United States and I believe New Zealand, we are the only two countries that even allow pharmaceutical commercials on TV. Like again, just
True. Yeah.
indoctrinating us, but so crazy. Well, and go back to baby carrots because that's one I don't buy baby carrots. I only buy real like organic carrots and cut them up myself because I had heard that baby carrots in the bag, for example, like they are loaded with like chlorine, like chemicals and stuff.
Mm.
So have you heard that or
Well, it's not that they're loaded with it, it's that that's what they're washed in. So
yeah.
if you get baby carrots, if you can throw them in a bowl, rinse them in the sink
Okay.
and shake them out and then have them with hummus, because
Okay.
what I'm going, for example, some kind of dip, but what I'm going for here is healthy without maximum effort. Because
Okay.
while you and I are going to be okay to go and buy carrots
Right.
and scrub them and,
Yeah.
all the things, if somebody's looking for a quick snack and they don't have time
Good
because they've
point.
got 5 minutes at work
Right.
and, and they don't get a decent break, which
Yeah.
seems to me very few people get a decent break.
Yeah. That's true.
Best case scenario, grab a bag of carrots, dip those
Yeah.
things in some hummus and at least get some food in
Yeah.
you. It's still better than the alternative.
Yeah. That's true. Then
So
the Cheetos.
yeah, you got to balance what you can do in the time you've got,
Yeah.
and
That's a good
also what
point.
you're willing to do, because going back to the habit change thing,
Mhm.
if you go from, well, I eat McDonald's every day to for breakfast, to, well, now I'm going to make my own carrot soup and I'm going to grate the carrots and I'm going to do, wonderful. That would be amazing. And you're totally not going to do it because
Yeah.
it's too far away from what
Right.
you've been doing.
Yeah.
It's
That's true.
it's like it's all the way over here
Yeah.
in La La Land.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking for something reasonable. Is, get some broccoli. What kind of dip do you like? Because even if it's ranch, for example, might not be the healthiest thing, but you're getting the broccoli. I'll take
True.
it.
That's true. Yeah.
It's still
Yeah.
it's still good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, those are
aiming for better rather than best.
yes.
How
Yeah.
can you're looking at your donut. How can I do better than this? Well, better is eating half of one instead of a whole one. How can you do better than that? Don't buy the donut, get something else.
Yeah.
But baby steps.
No, that's so good because I'll be honest, like my weakness is ice cream. And we have this amazing place down here that has ice cream. Of course, my kids are home for the summer, a couple from college and stuff, or my daughter. And so, like to your point, like if I do go there with them, I only get the sugar-free option. And again, we don't go all the time, but we were at the store last week and I'm like, okay, they wanted to get ice cream. I'm like, oh, and I eat very clean, but I got a brand, I think it was called Rebel brand. And it's like lactose free, 3 grams of carbs, like keto friendly. So I'm like, you know what? It's not, the mint chocolate chip that I love, but at least it's a little treat here and there. So, yeah. So I don't know.
On that subject, I would actually say if you fancy chocolate mint chip, go for it. Have it. Because
eat the ice cream. Okay.
Because the thing is, it's if you do it occasionally, it's a treat. If you do it all the time, it's a problem.
Yeah, that's.
But if you're doing it occasionally, why not? The idea is not to punish yourself with food or to restrict yourself, because the second you start saying, I can't have X, that is going to be the first thing you want. It's going to be the thing that's most on your mind. And I would not like for somebody to come away from this conversation thinking I need to deprive myself.
That's a good point.
No. You need to control yourself. This is a different thing. But if you love like maple syrup on pancakes, you want to have that every couple of weeks or something, I don't know, go for it. If you're eating clean the rest of the time, you are absolutely winning the game big time. And enjoy this. What I would say though is when you have those treats, I would love for the journal to come back out. What were you thinking before? How did it taste?
Right.
What was the sensation as you were eating it?
Yeah.
Did you have thoughts like, oh, wow, this is really bad. I shouldn't be eating this, but this is so much fun. Okay, cool. Write that down.
Yeah.
Because you need to know that this is this little dialogue that's going on that
Right.
most of the time you're not even going to notice. And then how were you afterwards? Did you get bloated? Did you feel fine? Did you have a sugar high and then need to go nap?
Yeah.
Like, what happened? And the point to the journal is not, again, it's not a punishment, it's information. You can look at that and say, oh yeah, all right, next time I do that, I better make sure that I am in a place where I can nap for the afternoon. Like, allow for it, but be real.
Yeah.
Know so what you're doing.
Yeah.
Know that you are doing this thing. So if you're going to eat chocolate, I would say first thing is buy the good stuff.
Yes.
For goodness sakes, don't buy the cheap stuff.
So true.
That is not chocolate. Read the ingredients, it is not chocolate. So buy yourself the good stuff, and then sit somewhere that you can really enjoy it. Savor that flavor and eat your chocolate, you know, like, and go for it.
Yes.
Again, whenever you're going to have something that you think is on the not to have list, write it down in your journal. How did that go for you? You might find that it works wonderfully to have it once a week or once every 2 weeks. So do it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm a big believer, this is just me, like in like the 80-20, like in my old life, I was a crazy busy teacher and college professor running my 4 kids around. We literally ate unhealthy 80% of the time. We ate McDonald's, like every night was a different, you know, tonight's Taco Bell night, you know, it's pizza night. And we ate healthy very little, like maybe 20%. And so when I entered into this whole new way of living, it's like I just flipped that switch. And now I'm like, okay, 80% of the time, like we are eating healthy. Like I always have a healthy, this is just me, but I always have a healthy breakfast. If I do breakfast, I do like to do a lot of fasting personally, but I have a healthy lunch. And then, you know, if I do splurge here and there, it's maybe 15-20% of my week or my day. But no, that's so good. So I love that you gave that freedom to people. And you know what? Next time I'm gonna have the mint chocolate chip. You've talked me into it.
Absolutely. Do it. Why, don't deprive yourself. And the thing with the 80-20 rule too is a little mindset tweak. 80% of the time you're aiming to eat whole foods as much as possible, better than you ate before all the time. But even on that 20%, be conscious of what you're doing. And it's not a sort of, you know, in diets, we often have this, oh, have a cheat day. Who are you cheating?
Right.
You're cheating yourself. Like, why would you do that? It's a crazy thing to do. But that 20% is a leeway. It's a, well, you know, I needed to buy a sandwich from Subway today. Right. Because I didn't have time for anything else. Could have been worse. I could have got the burger, you know. Right. Okay. That's your 20%. That's the leeway that you give yourself. It's in order to take stress off. It's not there to be an excuse to go and stuff all the things in on the weekend that you can't eat during the week. Because there are people that do that, and it's like, no, what are you doing to your body? And the mental conversation that goes on there is clearly messed up when that person feels that eating, quote unquote, badly is giving themselves a treat. Like, think about that. Treating yourself how? If you're eating food that makes you feel ill, you're eating food that has repercussions, you know, sugar highs, sugar lows, all that kind of thing. In what way are you treating yourself?
That's true. You're
not giving yourself any favors there.
Well, and you're just adding weight and inflammation, and then you're going to feel like crap. And now you could bring on some health issues because you've packed on weight. I mean, it's, And
it undoes everything that you're striving to do during the week. So if this is the situation you find yourself in, whoever finds themselves in this, please stop and think again, what is your reason for doing this? Why are you doing this? Is it because somebody else is telling you need to? Is it because you have an item of clothing that you want to fit into? Because these are not good reasons.
Right.
This is not authentically coming from you. And if it's not your behavior change, it won't happen.
Well,
so don't beat yourself up.
Yeah, that's so good. Well, and you made me think back to a time in my life, gosh, what, 15, 20 years ago. well, maybe less than that, maybe more like 12 to 15. But, you know, I was working out. I wanted to start working out. I wanted to start feeling better in my skin, but I had this Taco Bell addiction. And so like I would eat healthy all day long. I would work out. And then at around midnight, I'd have my fifth meal, the Taco Bell drive-through, right? And so, and I was getting frustrated because I'm like, I'm putting in all this work. I'm looking at the other people in the gym who are getting ripped and looking great. And I'm like, what is going on? But I would sabotage every
Mhm.
single night by going through Taco Bell. And to your point, I did it not necessarily because I was hungry, but because I was stressed. You know, I had
Yeah.
4 kids. I was juggling several different, like my career and teaching and these little side hustle jobs. And, you know, I was literally just stressed, and it made that Mexican pizza just made me feel better. But
Sure.
yeah,
It hits
but
the reward center. It
oh
hits
yeah,
the reward center in the brain. And so it's telling your brain that you're doing something good, right? This
yes,
feels good. This is a good hit.
yeah,
And that in itself is addictive.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
you're going to want to do that, but you cannot outlift, outrun,
right.
or outspin a
Amen.
bad
Yep,
diet.
that's so true.
It's
I know.
it's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
mean, I've worked in gyms before where I've had people, I hear people saying, well, I've worked really hard today, so I can eat this. It's like,
Mm,
dude, you can
yeah.
eat one candy for that last hour of
Yeah.
work. And you will have negated the hour of work. Are you sure
Yeah,
you want
it's
to do this?
crazy. Yeah.
Um, it doesn't equate the way people think it does.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the whole thing with movement really is move in a way that you find fun so
Mhm.
that you can keep moving.
Yeah.
Because when you stop moving, you lose your ability to move. And
Yeah.
that's where we have, and I don't mean to belittle anybody's situation, but a lot of individuals with mobility issues have them because they don't move.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're
Makes
in an
sense.
office job, you're working from home now. A lot of people working from
Yeah.
home with the pandemic. I
Mhm.
am. Um,
Yeah, me too.
but
Yeah.
if you're working from home, how often do you get up?
Mhm.
Do you move around? Do you
Yeah.
still pick things up? Are you doing what you used to do before? That's better than going to the gym.
Yeah. That's so good. Well, and even just I live down by the beach now. And so we've really just even incorporated walking, like after dinner, after a meal. Like we love to just go on a walk right after that meal and take our dogs. And so, yeah, I just think that's so, so good. Yeah. Thank you so much for all of that.
Yeah,
All
if you
right.
can walk, great. And if you're in an apartment block, run up down the steps.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we
Actually,
do.
run down. No, wait. Walk down, run up.
Okay.
Because running down is tough on the knees.
Yeah.
So walk down, run up.
Yeah, that's good advice. Yeah. And I started doing a little HIIT class here recently that I'm really enjoying. So yeah, there's all, like you said, do things that you enjoy. And
Mhm.
that is something that I really enjoy. And my kids actually went with me today. So that was fun having them go with me. And so no, that's such a blessing. But all
Crank
right.
the music while you vacuum clean.
Yeah. Hey, there you
Dance.
go. Yes, or sweep up all the dog hair. Yeah, we got Alexa playing all kinds of good country tunes down here when I'm sweeping up all that dog hair. So,
Right. I know how you
oh
feel.
my gosh. All right, so I'm curious. So there's a lot of diets out there. There's a lot of different options and voices in people's heads. So, already like I'm so grateful for you because you have a lot of knowledge and everything you're saying is like, oh yes, like I'm totally in agreement and I'm learning so much too. So, what type of diet do you recommend to be healthy for the people that are listening today? What's your advice on that?
Eat food that is as natural as possible,
Mhm.
unfiddled with. Eat meat if you like meat, chicken if you like chicken, and fish if you like fish. All of these things are just fine. Bacon, I wouldn't dream of telling people not to eat bacon, like that would cause a riot, but maybe don't eat it as often.
Yeah. Or nitrate free. Like I'm a big
Nitrate free would be great,
Yeah.
and sugar free. Did you know they put sugar in bacon?
No, I
Because
did
they
not.
do.
Okay. I've been
Yes.
buying my bacon locally at a farmer's market. So it's like fresh bacon. So
Yeah.
that's
I get sugar-free bacon, but believe it or
okay.
not, they put sugar
That's
in it. There's
crazy.
sugar in
Okay.
everything.
Gosh,
Um,
I know.
so eat whole food. And then if you're considering one of these wonderful diets that get promoted by people with ripped abs, et cetera, if there are food products sold, eat this, it's keto, eat this, it's da da da,
Yeah.
and you're looking at a chemical concoction, That alone tells you that this is not actually a healthy, natural diet.
So you're
Eat
saying my
organic
Rebel,
where you can.
yeah, my Rebel ice cream's not good then? I was telling you I was labeled keto and I felt good about that.
Check the label and you'll
Yeah.
actually, I would love for you to go check the label on the Rebel
I'm gonna
and
do
check
that.
the label on the chocolate chip mint ice cream.
Okay.
And I
Because
will
it's
bet
homemade.
you,
Yeah, it's
I'll
homemade.
bet you that
Lovely.
chocolate chip has less stuff
Really?
in it than
I'm
the
gonna
Rebel.
do that. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Yeah.
Have a look and see. But basically, you don't need specific products to eat healthy. And if they're promoting them, it's just another trick to get you to shell out money for less calories. It's like, you don't need to do that. Just go buy some fruit.
Yeah.
One of the things that my husband and I like to do is we'll try and find a new fruit or a new vegetable weekly or monthly, depends on the season, right? In the summer, it's easier to do. And if we don't know what it is, we'll Google it. You know, like, I don't know what this looks like, but you know, what's this thing? And then do you cook it or do you eat it raw? And then we try it.
Wow.
You know, and that can be a fun way of looking at food.
That's fun.
But you know, buying products to fit in with a diet, you know, and those breakfast shakes and those, no, they are charging you a lot of money for chemical stuff that is not food. Your body still doesn't recognize it. Whether it's a Cheeto or a breakfast bar, it's the same thing. It's not real food.
Yeah.
So just eat as naturally as you can. Google things you don't know what to do with them. Just because you haven't learned it yet doesn't mean it's not just a couple of clicks away.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So just everything you've shared again has been so insightful. So what is your opinion on, so yes, I agree, eat organic, you know, if you can grow your own stuff, shop at farmers markets, but what's your perspective on, do you think that like our soil is depleted? So even if you do eat organic, do you believe that even still there's a need for supplements? I'm just curious because, you know, I've heard a lot that, hey, even if you eat super healthy, because of the way that our foods are raised and the soil depletion over the years, that you still are going to have these nutritional gaps. Like what's your perspective on that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, this is a tricky one. So I'll give you a couple of angles on it. One is the pharmaceutical industries often own the supplement companies. So sure, they'd love you to take supplements.
Right.
And there is the argument that it's expensive pee. On the other hand, a lot of people are vitamin D deficient.
Right.
And that can be that they don't get enough sunshine because they're inside working all the hours.
Right.
Some people don't process it very well.
Right.
Again, you've got A, D, E, and K are fat soluble vitamins. So if you've been working on your diet, eating all these low fat foods and high sugar or high sugar substitute, which frankly is just as bad. Yeah. You probably are a little bit depleted in these vitamins because you can't absorb them.
Right.
So if you have the ability to do it, get a blood test. And that will tell you exactly where you are low. Like I'm perpetually low in vitamin D and it's an absorption issue. Has nothing to do with my diet, but I do need a supplement for that.
Right.
B vitamins can make a big difference to your mood, for example. So if you're somebody who gets PMS or you get mood swings, taking a B complex can actually really improve that. Try it and see. They're not that expensive. You might not need a blood test for that.
Right.
So if you are worried, get a blood test. If you just want some insurance, really do some research in the first place for a good quality, balanced multivitamin. Because the problem with taking supplements is if you start taking them individually, you can get things out of balance. If you don't have enough magnesium, you're not going to absorb the calcium. This kind of thing. So there's a reason for these things being concoctions. But another thought I'd like to give you is the recommended daily amount for vitamins. Says who?
Right.
Because historically, you know, as hunter-gatherers, you're going to have times where you have a ton of protein, no vitamin C. Then you're going to have a ton of vitamin C because all these fruits are coming up. And you're going to have, you know, so a recommended yearly allowance, I think, makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good
But
point. Yeah.
trying to get a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of vitamin this, vitamin that in every meal
Yeah.
does not make sense. We're not, if you think about it, that cannot be natural. The natural world doesn't exist like that.
Yeah.
So shooting for fresh food in season is going to be cheaper for you, a little bit boring in winter, but you know.
Yeah.
And if you do want to take a supplement, try and find yourself a good quality one that you can afford.
Yeah, no, those are good points. Okay, good. I love your answer to that. And I know you've already touched on this, Mikki, but obviously we've talked about the whole food piece of it. You touched on supplements a little bit. So when it comes to exercise, and I know you said make sure it's fun. Like I know I'm getting ready to talk my kids into going with me to a dance fitness class because it just sounds fun. I'm like, I'm not coordinated, but hey, it's moving and fun. So what exercise do you recommend to people? What's your opinion about that?
It honestly 100% depends on you. For example, I hate running. If a bear is coming after me, the bear gets lunch. Like I am not running. Nothing is going to make me run. But I love to do spinning. And I've been a spinning instructor for years.
Oh, I love spinning too. Yeah.
I can get that runner's high in like 5 minutes. So I'm totally going to go for that. But that works for me. Lifting weights is highly recommended.
Yep, I love that.
Women are not going to bulk up. You are not going to look like the guys. We're not built that way. It's not going to happen unless you try really, really hard.
Right.
But what you will get is nicely defined muscles that work. And that's a good thing. You want that. The heart is a muscle. We want that to keep working too. So weights are good. They help to counteract the onset of osteoporosis and so on, which we need because we've all been drinking milk. So that's the thing. Swimming is great for if you have arthritis or if you have joint issues. Swimming is really good for, the water takes the gravity off the joints and so on. But you must cross train because if you only do swimming, that actually leads to osteoporosis.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because you're taking the stress off the bone. Okay. And in order for the bones to be strong, they need stress on them.
Okay.
It's called axial loading, so head down, which is weight training and so on.
Right. Yeah.
So if you did both, awesome. Walking, beautiful. Running is actually not that good for you anyway. It's very hard on the joints. And some people really aren't good runners. Like I just really am not.
Yeah, me neither.
Not a thing for me.
I'm not either.
But I would say if it's fun, whether it's dancing around the house while you chase the dogs or whatever you're going to do, then you're more likely to do it. And that's the thing. Exercise is what you get to do. It's not what you have to do.
Yes, that's so true. I love that. That's a big motto that I have about everything is like, I get to work from home and have all four of my oldest son will be here in a couple months, but like I get to, when they're annoying, I'm like, okay, no, I get to do this. This is fun. Right? So, no, I love that mindset switch. So it's good. Well, awesome. Well, gosh, you guys, I know you're probably like me, like you have so many notes and you've just got so much just awesome stuff that you want to try out or get rid of, maybe after hearing this podcast today. But I always love to give our speaker kind of like the last kind of, few moments to just really share. Maybe there's something that you meant to say that you forgot to say, or maybe something totally new came on your heart that you really just want to share with the viewers today to just kind of wrap this up and put a pretty little bow on it for them. So Mikki, I would love for you to share that and then just incorporate, like, how can people get more connected with you? I just think you are so wise. And, do you have a blog? Do you have a website? Any different ways that people can get in contact with you and maybe even take it to a deeper level if you offer, coaching and things like that. But just, have the last couple minutes before we land this plane. So take it away, Mikki.
That would be fantastic. Thank you. So yes, you can actually, if you check me out on my website, you're going to be a little bit surprised because I also do human design. And that is on my website.
Hey, I have a cookie business. We won't even go there. We won't even go there. Yeah.
So if you go to gaffenstone.com, GAFFEN stone.com, you are going to see the Tree of Life with the Dragon because that's what I like, and it's on my human design page. But I do still coach people basically in whatever you need. I cover, you want the nutrition, the exercise, and so on. Last thoughts are, be kind to yourself. If you are indulging in negative self-talk, your brain takes this as fact. Your brain says, oh, right, I am that bad. I'm stupid, and it will then give it back to you. And you're not going to have a very good self-esteem. You can't make good decisions from a place where you're feeling bad about yourself. So most people I meet, when I start coaching them, first thing we have to work on is self-talk, because there's a lot of very negative self-talk and people don't even realize they're doing it. So I want you to listen to yourself. And whenever you hear yourself saying, oh, that was stupid, I shouldn't have done that, or the equivalent, reframe that. Give yourself a break and say something nice. And when you're ready, look yourself in the mirror, in the eyes, and say something good about yourself. It's going to feel weird, but I want you to practice. And be kind. Above all, be kind, because the world out there can be pretty mean. You don't need to do it to yourself.
Yeah, that's so good, you guys. That was like a drop the mic moment. And I really appreciate you saying that. And I've had those like heart to heart moments with myself in the mirror. So they do work. And, yeah, you might feel a little bit weird, but I'm telling you, it's definitely worth it. And it makes a difference. And I know just through my sickness that I went through with breast implant illness and everything, and I still deal with it to a certain degree, where I got caught up in what I call, well, not I call, but I've heard they're called owls, old wire loops, where, I would just wake up and I'm like, oh, I feel like crap, this hurts today, and I just, like you said, our brain doesn't know the difference. And so we have to like retrain our brain. And so that's where I do like a lot of affirmations and just remind myself that, no, I am healthy, I am healed, and, just different things like that, to just really help in my healing, because we can create things, in our minds.
We do.
Yeah.
The thing is, the future has not happened. It is not created right now.
Yeah.
So you get to create it. The question is, are you going to do that consciously, or are you going to let somebody else do it for you?
Yes.
Or are you just going to allow old patterns to hold the wheel? Because if those old patterns are coming up, you're going to get what you've got.
Yeah.
So the whole thing with behavior change is recognize this and start giving yourself new patterns to work with. The elephant that runs through the jungle follows the well-worn path.
Yes.
So you need to create some new positive pathways. And it's very doable. But, years ago, Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
You're right. That's right. Yes.
And it's very simple. It's very true.
Yeah.
So, what you tell yourself is everything. The only limits you have truly are the ones you give yourself.
Oh, that's so good. So good.
Let's be kind and not do that.
Yeah. Amen. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Mikki. This has been fabulous. And this is definitely a podcast I want to listen to several times, because you dropped so many nuggets today and just so many truth bombs. And I hope you guys go follow Mikki. I already checked out your website. You're awesome. Are you on Facebook too?
Yes. Mikki Gaffen Stone. I'm easy to find.
Okay, perfect. All right. And all of her information, you guys, is going to be in the show notes. So check that out. Again, get connected with her, and just share this podcast with your friends and family too. I mean, if you have people in your life that are struggling with their mindset, with their wellness goals, please, share this with them. We want to help as many people as possible. And I know that Mikki shared some phenomenal advice today that I think is relevant to any person on the planet. So thank you so much for your time today, Mikki.
Thank you.
You are absolutely amazing. I'm so grateful that you were on our show today for episode 5, which we didn't even know that was like her number. So even perfect. 5 cats, 5 dogs, 5 children, and the 5th episode. That was like meant to be today. So, but thank you again. So
thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you guys again for tuning in today and taking time out of your busy schedules. And again, please share this, and, just appreciate you guys being on here today.
Drop into Facebook and say hi. I'm happy to talk to you. Just, let me know what you think. Give me any questions.
Yes.
I'll answer you.
Thank you so much. All right. Take care, everybody.